This is WWE superstar Drew McIntyre, and you're listening to the WWE Podcast.
The champ is
the one that everybody wants, me.
Becky Lynch is going to WrestleMania. Claymore!
Austin 316 says I just whipped your ass. This is my iron. You're going to acknowledge me.
It is time for the WWE Podcast Mailbag here on a Friday. Yes, a Friday, January 19th, 2024. As you'd imagine, if you've listened to me earlier in the week, I've been under the weather, feeling like total garbage. So I was in no condition to record the last couple days. So it's been a struggle. All right. It's been a struggle. I'm coming out of it, I think, but, yeah, this is, I don't often get sick. And, when I do, I become a big child. So I just want to let you know why things are so late and weird this week. It's just coming back from a quick trip to Cancun and then bringing some kind of sickness back with me that I thought it was COVID. It's not. I don't know what it is. But all right. Well, let's get into the mailbag as it's a couple days late, but as they say, better late than never. Let's start with a patron. Obviously, patrons get priority, but let's start with Darren. And he says, "Hey, WWE Podcast family, I was thinking about Drew McIntyre and trying to think of what WrestleMania would look like for him. I thought he would have been champion by now, but I've gotten less confident. So let's just say Seth's knee isn't too bad as he goes into WrestleMania as champion. There's been a lot of speculation on him facing CM Punk. So where does that leave Drew? Who do you think he will face?" That's a really good question with Drew McIntyre. The problem and what makes it so difficult with Drew, I don't know what he is. And I said this on my show, I think it was Monday or Tuesday, or a Raw review, that normally it's a complaint when I don't know what the character is, when they just are kind of in between. But Drew's so good and intriguing right now, and he's doing some of his best work, that it's not a complaint. But it also makes it difficult to project who he's going to face, what programs he could get involved with. And I honestly, thinking about it, I mean, he could go for the Intercontinental Championship. He could win that maybe at WrestleMania. Although you could argue that perhaps Brock Lesnar will face Gunther for the Intercontinental Championship. Maybe they will include the belt in that program, even though I don't think it's needed. Or actually, to me, it's not warranted or even justified to put the belt in there because you're taking an opportunity from someone who actually could win the belt. But nonetheless, they still could bring the Intercontinental Championship into that program because you could have Brock Lesnar chasing another streak of Gunther's. So, but when it comes to Drew, I mean, you honestly could have some kind of cross-promotion match, maybe with LA Knight. That is absolutely a possibility. LA Knight and Drew McIntyre sounds like a lot of fun. Now, again, it's assuming that Drew is a heel, because right now he's still leaning heel, but dips his toe back into the babyface pool from time to time. So it's weird what Drew is. But to me, when I look at the Raw roster where he's at, there's really nobody that stands out per se, because CM Punk and Seth Rollins are slated to face one another at WrestleMania. We all know that. Unless Seth Rollins is seriously injured, in which case he relinquishes the championship, and then you have a tournament for the world title leading into WrestleMania, which is also very possible. We'll learn, I think, a lot more Monday night when Seth is on Raw. He is scheduled to be on Raw. So that's possible. And then it's like, well, where does that leave Punk? And there have been people who have been saying, well, if Punk is not facing Seth, you should bring in Austin. Stone Cold needs to, get a call from WWE and pay him whatever he wants and all this stuff, which I have mixed feelings on that too. But I think that when it comes to Drew, though, cross-promotion match or fighting for the Intercontinental title at WrestleMania, is probably in the cards for him. But he's in a weird spot, but a good spot. It's a strange thing with Drew. Like, I should be annoyed that I don't know what he is, but I'm also very intrigued because he's been so damn good. So, thanks, Darren. I appreciate it. Let's talk to DJ Kuzmo, and he says, hey, AEW and WWE Podcast World, it's DJ Kuzmo back at it again on your Mailbag show. The Royal Rumble is next week. I repeat, the Royal Rumble is next week. So to all the listeners and Patreon members, get your predictions ready. Should be a fun mailbag next week, just listening to everyone's thoughts, predictions, and potential spoilers for the Royal Rumble. Anyway, I don't know if you're recording the mailbag very early like last week, so I'll quickly get to these points. Yeah, no, hilariously, DJ, I am super late, unlike last week where I posted it early, and my head is still in the clouds. I mean, that's the kind of sickness has been. Anybody that's had COVID, and again, I don't think this is COVID, but it really feels like it, it feels like you're just in another dimension. Your brain is like dislodged from your body, and you're just floating. That's the way I've felt for like 4 days, on top of congestion, on top of, all that stuff. But all right, anyway. So one, Drew McIntyre. I hope I'm not the only one seeing something odd here, because it seems to me that Drew has reverted back to being a babyface. From the interaction with Cody at the beginning of this show this past Monday, and then interrupting Priest's cash-in attempt at the end of the show, it seems like Drew is now a babyface again. I don't know. I'm just a little confused. Well, DJ, you echoed my sentiment from my previous comments here about Drew. I don't know what he is either. And it's not a complaint. At some point, you're going to have to put him in one camp or the other. You can't keep him in this weird spot. But Drew is so talented and so good that it doesn't actually make you angry, which is a very rare feat. 2, Damian Priest. Speaking of Priest's failed cash-in attempts, he's got to be the only one in the history of the cash-ins to have so many failed cash-in attempts, because I don't remember Edge having multiple failed cash-in attempts, or neither do I remember Punk having multiple failed cash-in attempts. But this is my opinion that WWE should change the amount of times that a Money in the Bank holder can make an attempt to cash in to only 3 times. And after the 3rd time they fail to cash in, they must relinquish the briefcase and vacate the briefcase. And it will be used for the next Money in the Bank event. Yeah, that's not a bad idea. I don't think they'll ever do that, because then they'll creatively restrict themselves. And it would also make it so once you get to that 3rd time, you're thinking, no way they're going to waste this opportunity, No way that they're going to say, sorry, no cash in this year. I think once they get to that 3rd time, they're like, well, they have to be successful now. No way WWE is just going to take it away and make it a blah Money in the Bank season. You know what I mean? So I hear what you're saying, because there have been so many failed attempts. But I just don't think WWE is going to do that. They don't like to creatively put themselves in a corner. Thanks, DJ, and looking forward to hearing your predictions, which, yes, Royal Rumble is 1 week away. After all that, after Survivor Series War Games, bam, here we are. And then it's going to be Chamber and Mania. It's crazy, right? All right, next patron. This is, let's see, Anthony. And he says, good morning from California. Hope you're having or had safe travels, Matt. I mean, physically it was fine. Mentally and emotionally it was another story. But all right, this week on the Rock Report, no sightings or no mentions. According to the Instagram, he is at home in his gym raising money for Kiki. I don't know what that is. But not sitting at the head of the table. Like I said, I'll be here for you in May, buddy. Valhalla is here, and nobody cares. What I say to myself every time I hear that intro. I don't know why, but this Viking shtick is annoying. Are we really to believe Ivar really lives in the Nordic woods hunting to survive? I see what you're saying about Cody. Hearing it from Drew hit different. Ever since another patron brought up how off Becky's voice is in her promos, I can't unhear it. It's almost like she's doing a bad Kaiser impersonation with an Irish accent. Her husband is equally annoying over his weird doofus sing my song nonsense. Fantasy booking until all the top card gets sorted with all the returning stars. What if LA Knight gets brand swapped and he's the one to break Gunther's Intercontinental title streak? Keep up the good work. Yeah, thanks, Anthony. Sounds like you have a few complaints this week. 1 or 2. But no, I mean, the fact that we're supposed to believe that he's living in the Nordic woods, I mean, like, of course not. You could apply that to a lot of outlandish outlandish characters. I mean, hell, look at The Undertaker, one of the most famous characters of all time. Are we supposed to believe he's like sleeping in a casket every night? You know, like this is Kane really residing in hell? I mean, does mankind literally live in a boiler room? You know, it's just, of course, right? Like, I mean, you have to understand that this is a production, and the idea is to make you believe as far as you can believe. But I mean, no, I mean, of course, no one believes he's in the Nordic woods hunting to survive. Of course not. But yeah, I mean, Becky's voice in her promos, yeah, that's it is something to behold. And also, as I mentioned, the way she cuts her promos, not just her voice, but the way she puckers her lips after every sentence, like she's mad at everything she says, is also super annoying to me. And I know, again, I have a lot of Becky fans. I know I do. I'm going to be getting some backlash for it, but it's just a fact. I mean, I'm not pointing out, it's not an opinion. I think that's what needs to be really clarified here. This isn't an opinion. Like, Becky Lynch in her promos seems very rehearsed. It does. I mean, you listen to her promo this past week, it sounded like she was backstage rehearsing it over and over and over. It's not how you speak normally to a person. I went over that on my Raw review. And she's still one of the best to ever do it. Let me be honest. Like, she is still very good in the ring. She main evented the first ever women's, she was in the part of the first ever women's main event at WrestleMania. She's been one of the leaders of the women's evolution, all that. It's true. She's an extraordinary talent, but she has some super annoying quirks that I don't even know if she's aware of. And even if she is, she can't help it. It's just kind of like a nervous tick or something, or just a habit when you cut a promo or whatever. But those are just it's just the way it is. Now, as far as, let's see, yeah, I mean, having Seth Rollins say "Sing My Song," I haven't watched a full Seth Rollins introduction in months. I can't watch his intros anymore, his entrances. I'm over it. I've been over it for a while. If you're in person and you sing the song, like, I get it. But even then, I went to Raw a few months ago here in Albany, and I'm just like, it's like kind of lost its luster. I don't know. But when he sends and "Sing My Song" and he stands there with his arms out, like, I mean, I get it. He's milking the audience. He's trying to give them what they want. But for an at-home viewer, it has become more than stale at this point. And I don't know if you guys still watch Seth Rollins' entrances, but I can't do it anymore. So, but thank you. And as far as Knight getting swapped, I mean, I just proposed that. I think Knight getting swapped to Raw for someone going to SmackDown would be actually a really good for LA Knight. I don't know if that's going to happen, or they could keep him on SmackDown and you still have a cross-promotional match. But if he's going to be the one to beat the Intercontinental title streak, sure, he has to go to Raw. Thanks, Anthony. All right. Let's see. Let's talk to Cameron, who's a new patron. We'll welcome Cameron. He's from Oh God, here comes my just terrible pronunciation. Wollongong, Australia. Maybe I got that right. I was super excited when I found out Elimination Chamber was coming to Australia, but then I immediately was disappointed when I saw it was in Perth, which is 2,500 miles from where I live in Wollongong. Do you think it is worth flying all the way across the country to attend? It would be my first time attending a WWE show. The cheap seats are $150 and way at the back, and in the cost of the plane tickets, hotel, Ubers, food, and beer, it comes out to a very costly weekend. Or is it better to just watch from home and be able to enjoy the commentary and also enjoy the 8:30 start time? Raw, SmackDown, and PLE start at midday for me. Can't wait for Bailey to take the title from Io and Chad Gable to take the title from Gunther. Love the shows you provide. I listen at work religiously every week. Cheers, guys. Keep up with the good work. Well, cool. I'm glad I can be your background to your work. So people tell me that all the time, that they listen to me at work. Well, I'm glad that I can continue to help you get your day going a little faster. As far as what my thoughts are and if you should go, I mean, it really comes down to, do you value experience or money? because it is going to be expensive. Absolutely. 2,500 miles, you got $150 seat. That's just the ticket to the event. And that they aren't even good seats, right? From what you're saying, it's $150 and way at the back. And then you said plane tickets, hotel, that right there. If you're going to stay just one night with a plane ticket round trip, I'm going to guess, and this is in US dollars, and of course, guesstimating that it's probably around $600 at minimal for a okay hotel and plane tickets. So it's $600 plus your cheap seat to the event itself, which is $150. So there's $750 plus you do have food and beer and Uber. It's probably going to cost you close to $1,000 just for the one event. And if you don't even have good seats, I mean, I'm not discouraging you from going to an event, because going to WWE events, especially a PLE of this size that they're trying to make a big deal, and Punk will be there and probably be wrestling. I'm trying not to discourage you, but also I don't know your budget. I don't know what you value more, of just being able to say, I went, oh my God, it was great, to be able to say you attended. But I don't know. If it's your first event too, you don't even know what you're missing out on. So the ignorance may be bliss. That's tough. If it was WrestleMania, I would say, get your ass there. But if it's Elimination Chamber, from what I understand, The Rock's not going to be there. That's the latest. Punk is scheduled to be there. So I don't know if you can wait a little longer to see what the card's shaping up as, to be able to decide before tickets and everything else get taken up. But I'd say just guesstimating about $1,000 for all these expenses, plus merch and all the ancillary expenses you want to have for the event. It's a lot. It's a lot, man. But I don't want to make the decision for you. All right, Cameron, thank you so much. Where am I going? Let's talk to Robert from Seattle. And Robert says, when I write in, I typically ask you about current storylines, but I figured you'll get a lot of those, so I want to change it up and ask you questions you may not expect. Uh-oh. Let's go. This is going to be fun. First, with the 2024 presidential race underway, I wanted to know if you were president, which wrestler would you pick to be your vice president, and what would your slogan be? Interesting. Who would my VP be? Let me think about that here. I mean, the comedy part of me wants to say maybe Tom or Nick Mysterio. That's one of those two guys. We haven't seen Nick, but only Tom. But honestly, probably Drew McIntyre would be my VP, because he can talk. He's intimidating. He can kick ass. And maybe the slogan would be equal opportunity ass kickers. I don't know. Something like that. Without actually sitting down and formulating some better answers, that's off the top of my head of what it would be. And maybe my Secretary of State would be Nick Mysterio. That's probably what I would be, or choose. Second, if you were the leader of Judgment Day, who would you have as the members of your faction? 1 woman and 4 men. Well, I mean, I honestly like the members that are there now. I don't know if I'd swap anybody out. Everybody fits perfectly. They are a hot faction right now, and a lot of it has to do with R-Truth. I mean, R-Truth has breathed new life into this group, just like Sami Zayn did to the Bloodline. And he was so over, he nearly turned the Bloodline babyface. R-Truth is doing the same thing to the Judgment Day. So, I mean, not to cop out here, but I don't know if I would change a thing. Everybody's got their role nicely laid out. It's a faction that's really working right now. Okay, who did the frog splash better, Eddie or RVD? I guess it depends on preference, because to me, Eddie Guerrero had a tighter more compact frog splash, where RVD was more showy. He may have gotten a little bit more elevation than did Eddie, but Eddie's looked more devastating because he was more muscular, and it was more about the results than the show, if that makes sense. I guess I prefer Eddie, but I'm also very partial to Eddie as a wrestler, because a lot of fans, including myself, had felt very connected to that character, and it's still one of the most devastating losses in wrestling history. But that's my preference, is Eddie's. No, not taking anything away from RVD, who was an amazing wrestler in his own right, and had a career that I don't think really reached its full potential. But that's it for now. Hope it wasn't too long. Have a good week. Well, thanks, Robert. You as well. All right, next patron, we've got AJ. AJ says, hello, I'm not sure how to feel about Seth Rollins. He keeps winning despite always getting hurt and having a bad back, which has apparently been healed. I think he should drop the belt soon because it's ran its course. I think it's ran its course. I keep seeing people calling him Super Seth after the Jinder match and comparing him to Super Cena, which I didn't watch, but wasn't sure if it's a fair comparison. P.S. I've never been to a WWE event and was livid when I was watching SmackDown and found out it was in Lincoln, Nebraska, which is fairly close to me. Would have went, but would you say a house show is better for first time over a televised event? All right, well, this is the second emailer here that hasn't been to a live event before, so let me give you a little bit of advice here. So let me start, though, with Super Cena versus Super Seth. Seth, as of late, has been doing a lot of kickouts of a lot of finishes. I will give you that. And if you didn't see Super Cena, though, was at another level. I mean, there was just no way to beat him. You could do anything, and he would just constantly kick out. And it was over many years in which Cena was like this, and they called him Super Cena because it was like he was Superman. There's nothing you could do. And so, but I mean, there is a little bit of that in Seth, but Super Cena has it's a legend of its own because of how ridiculous and how many times John Cena would kick out of things that were done to him. And so, but with Seth, yeah, I mean, I generally don't like kickouts of finishes, and it's been something that has been sticking in my, being a thorn in my side for a long time, because it should be done, but very rare, and it should be something that is special when it happens, and instead it's actually something that we've come to expect as fans. That a finish move is not actually a finish move, that it's more of a how many times do I need to apply it to get the finish move. And I think that's detrimental to the sport, because then you look at it and go, oh, that's a it's called a finish move, but it's a kind of finish move. It's a maybe. It's a how many times. And so, Seth this week, though, he did kick out of the Colossus. Was it twice? He got hit in the head with the briefcase and then gets hit with the Colossus and then kicks out. That was a Super Cena type moment, no doubt about it. There are moments where he acts like Super Cena, but Super Cena was like, again, many years worth of that kind of thing. So, yeah, it's not a truly fair comparison because Cena was on a much larger scale. Now, as far as the question about a house show is better for the first time over a televised live event, I mean, honestly, if it just comes near you, go. I'm not going to say that, well, no, if it comes back around your neck of the woods, don't go to a house show, wait for a televised event. No. No, I mean, I would say go to one no matter what the platform is. If it's televised or not, go. Because you're going to realize quickly that wrestling is really fun to watch live. Now, there are advantages and disadvantages to both house shows and televised events. The advantage to a house show is there's no commercial breaks. You have an intermission, but it's like halfway through the show, and you just get up, stretch for 15, 20 minutes, and then come back and then get the second half of the show. And also, the other advantage is Wrestlers are much more relaxed during those events. It's not televised. They can kind of do what they want. They play to the crowd. It's fun. It feels like kind of an more intimate experience. Now, it's not televised, which is, if you want the televised experience, there is more energy usually for a televised event. But the downside is there are commercial breaks, which can be kind of a drag during the show. So there is that. But and also there's no progression in storylines in house shows. Things just kind of stay the way they are. No titles ever change hands. But the tickets are usually cheaper at house shows too. So again, pros and cons. My advice, just go. All right. Thanks, AJ. All righty. Where am I? We are going to go. Let's see. I'm going to go to Tom. And Tom says, "Hey, Matt. Just want to say well done on getting a female presenter into the programming. Chrissy did great. It offers a different viewpoint. We can see things from the women's side and bring some balance. And given that 50% of the talent are now female, we need that balance. Good job and thank you." Yeah, I really enjoyed her as well. Chrissy was great. We've been in contact afterwards, so I don't think it'll be long before you hear her again. We'll get a date on the calendar, and I agree. My main point is a big one. R-Truth, this guy's a legend and a damn funny guy. He needs rewarding and acknowledging. Now, given he's not a full-time wrestler and the titles are going to be hard to immediately justify putting on him, given LA Knight may be U.S. champion and Gunther's title drop needs to be a big full-time star, my suggestion is to give R-Truth the Andre the Giant Battle Royal at WrestleMania. We could have some really funny build, including the Judgment Day. JD and Dom could be in the Royal Rumble. What do you think? Yes. And you know what would be even funnier? Although Dominic is so hated, I wouldn't even do this because I feel like it would pour cold water on one of the hottest heels. You could have Dominic change outfits where it's, he's Tom when he comes out in the Rumble, or, and then gets eliminated and he comes back out as Nick. I mean, you could do something like that at the Battle Royal at the Royal Rumble, but as far as the Giant Battle Royal or the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal at WrestleMania, yes, R-Truth is on a roll right now that he's never been on. He's one of the highest selling merch. He has one of the highest selling pieces of merch in WWE right now, and rightfully so. And I think Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal is a nice place for him. But here's something even better. I want to put a title on him. I do. I mean, I know you're saying it's not immediately justifying to put on him, but R-Truth he's not a spring chicken. He's been around a long time. He's done a lot for the company. Yes, he's been largely used as a comedy character and sometimes very effectively. But I think that the fans are ready to embrace him as a champion. Hell, you could even make a case that he could be world champion. I think it would be a lot of fun, even if it's just for a short time, to make him a world champion. The fans, there's just no denying. If R-Truth was to somehow squeak his way into a world title or universal title, undisputed title match, the fans would go crazy. So, but realistically, yeah, the Memorial Battle Royal for Truth would be a nice kind of consolation prize for him. So, all right. Let's talk to, I do believe we have another patron because I don't want to forget him. Okay. This is from Zach. Zach says, as I predicted in the past, I really feel like Damian Priest will slowly turn face on JD. Maybe it comes to the point where the faction jumps R-Truth and Priest becomes hesitant. Then they start to question where his loyalty lies. There are so many ways that can write this story. I'm excited to see how it plays out. Damian, I agree. Damian is hesitant to attack R-Truth because he doesn't actually hate him. He's hesitant to do anything to harm Truth, but he did what he had to do this past Monday. But he's slowly turning the whole group babyface almost. So, as for Drew, I 100% agree with you. He's interesting. His character is like nothing I've seen before in WWE. There's been tweeners in the past, but this feels different. This might sound crazy, but his character reminds me of Vegeta from Dragon Ball Z, an anti-hero whose actions are somewhat justified, even though we may disagree with them. He's prideful and mostly loyal to himself, which we can't be mad at. I want to see a World Heavyweight title run with this new Drew. Okay, first, I don't know the Dragon Ball Z reference. I know people that like Dragon Ball Z, but I don't understand really almost anything regarding Dragon Ball Z other than Kamehameha. I know what that is. There's a lot of funny memes with that. Like, I get that. But the rest of it, I don't know the characters. I don't know the story. I just know it's a whole lot of, Japanese anime that's like on Adult Swim or something. Like, I don't, But as far as Drew being World Heavyweight Champion, yes. I was hoping Drew would already be champion. Drew as World Heavyweight Champion needs to happen. Right now, Seth just needs to drop the belt. Now, I know that Punk could still face Seth without the belt, and I don't think Punk's going to win the Rumble. I think Punk is going to win at Chamber, which is why Punk is being advertised for the Chamber right now, because I think he's going to compete inside the Chamber and win and face Rollins at WrestleMania for the championship. So it's likely, very likely, that we see Punk versus Seth at WrestleMania for the World Heavyweight Championship. I think that's the most likely. But honestly, like, I'm ready for Drew to take it. I'm ready for, hey, if of course, if LA Knight wanted to come over, he could take it. I'm ready for that. But honestly, I think that's probably where they're going. We could have Cody Rhodes and Punk both champions coming out of WrestleMania. It's very, very possible. In fact, it's, I would guess, the most likely outcome for WrestleMania. Thanks, Zach. So back to the other email box I have here. So this is from Jalen. And Jalen went to Raw in Little Rock. And Jalen says that they've been listening for a while now, but this is the first time writing in. I was actually able to go to Raw, but that took place in Little Rock. It was so fun, and I had a really good time. They had a new setup. It looked nice and different. They gave us a lot of tag team matches. I got to see my favorite person, which is Becky Lynch, and I believe on TV you can see my sign that says I love Becky. I'll go back and look. I don't know. You'd have to tell me where you're sitting, Jalen. But my brother and I were sad that we missed CM Punk because he showed up last week and he's going to show up next week, but not our week. Well, Jalen, welcome to Hitting It Wrong. Hitting it wrong as a wrestling fan. I had the same thing happen in Albany here, right after the Survivor Series, when Orton showed up and Punk showed up, and then Orton showed up that Raw and Punk showed up that Raw. Guess who wasn't there the following week? Both of them. I didn't get Punk or Orton because Orton had signed with SmackDown that week. Punk took the week off. And those are two massive returns, and I'm sitting at Raw going, what the hell? It is so frustrating, especially when you're sitting in the crowd and then you see next week on Raw, returning next week, and you're like, son of a... You know what I mean? I get it. It's frustrating. But, okay, back to your email. But we also do understand that Little Rock is not as big of a place as some others, but we were happy we got a championship match, even though we knew who was going to win. Sorry for the long email. I love the podcast. No, it's not a long email, Jalen. Not at all. Trust me. If you listen to this show, you know that this is nowhere near a long email. Okay? I appreciate you listening and that your brother and you had a good time at Raw. Sounds like you did. It's just the life of a wrestling fan. And honestly, sometimes it doesn't even have to do with the city you're in. It has to just do with their schedule and how they're playing it out to the pay-per-view, to the PLEs, and how many appearances are on those big stars' contracts, because they only have so many appearances. They don't show up like every week like the full-time guys. So you just hit it wrong, unfortunately. And it's frustrating, but you know that when they come back into town, you're going to be there again, just like I will. So, all right. Andrew. This is Andrew from New Zealand, and he says, after listening to everyone's comments over the last couple weeks, this is what it would look like to happen. Oh, okay. This is what I would like to see happen with the build to the Rock-Roman match. Orton wins the Fatal 4-Way at the Rumble due to The Rock coming out and distracting Roman. That makes a revenge head of the table match on day 1 of Mania. Rhodes wins the Rumble and challenges Orton at WrestleMania on day 2 and finishes his story. Tell me your thoughts on this and a nice simple way for this to happen. Well, there are several ways WWE could go about this. Many now are pointing to a triple threat between The Rock, Cody, and Roman at WrestleMania. And while that would appease, I think, the Cody fans more than just having Rock Roman, you would also be kind of squandering the Rock Roman one-on-one mega match. Like, I understand the argument for Cody being in there. I absolutely do. I understand it, but this is a once-in-a-lifetime, and I don't mind this being a triple threat if it's the second encounter between Rock and Roman, but you need the one-on-one. You have to have the one-on-one. Anyone who says that it's not going to be a big match is lying. They are lying, or they don't live in reality. I understand why you think Cody's a better choice one-on-one. And he is, from the perspective of, he actually has a chance to take the belt off of Roman, and that he's building towards the future where The Rock is going to be gone to Hollywood the next day. And I totally get that. Absolutely. But the money match, and this organization, last I checked, isn't a charitable organization. They're in the business of making money. As evil as that may sound, that's what for-profit organizations do. They want to make money. It sounds kind of crazy, but that's what they do. The money match is Rock versus Roman one-on-one. No distractions, no third person. And then you can do the triple threat with Rock, Roman, and Cody, and have Cody win. Fine. If Cody wants to be the one to take the belt off of Roman, and he finishes his just obnoxious story that he won't shut up about, he wants to finish his bedtime story, then go do it. Fine. But you gotta go through Rock Roman alone first. I don't think that answered your question. I answered a question that you didn't ask. So let me get to what you asked. So your scenario is Orton wins at the Rumble. He distracts Roman, costs Roman the belt. Orton is now champion. We then have Rhodes winning and challenging Orton at Mania. And day 2, he finishes his story. I don't dislike that. In fact, that's preferable to me. Why is that preferable? Because it would take away the anger of a lot of fans that Cody's not going to have a title match at WrestleMania. He is. You could have it against, it just won't be against Roman Reigns. It'll be against Randy Orton. And there's a hell of a story between Cody Rhodes and Randy Orton that you could pull from. That sounds great. Orton is champion. Cody gets his match. And then you get Rock Roman without the belt, which is exactly the way that match should be. The belt with Rock Roman, as I've said for literally years, is a detriment to the match. So I like this actually a lot. In fact, if I was running creative, this is probably what I would do. I know that you Cody fans want it to be against Roman to get revenge for last year. I understand that. You could still eventually get to another Cody-Roman match, but here's what you would get more importantly for those Cody fans out there. He would finish his ridiculous story that he's been whining and screaming about for a couple of years. He'd get that done. He'd become champion. It would happen at WrestleMania. He'd win the belt that his daddy couldn't, so we all supposed to, shed tears of joy for that. He could pay homage to his dad in the next night on Raw while we all cry. And then you get Rock Roman without a championship. And then no one complains anymore. And then also Roman's not champion anymore. which means we don't care how much time he takes off. So that's one way to do it. That's my preferable way, Andrew. I really like that. I do. All right. But I honestly, what do I think they're going to do? Probably a triple threat at WrestleMania. I unfortunately think they're going to go with the triple threat at WrestleMania, but again, so many unknowns. This year's WrestleMania is absolutely incredibly unpredictable. All right. Do we have any other? I don't know. I don't know if this is one that's. I don't know. I might have. This is from Tuesday, January 9th. This is from Joe. And okay, I'm just gonna. This is from January 9th, and I don't know if I already put this in here or not, but it's a quick one from Joe. He says that my girlfriend and I recently had a baby girl over the Christmas period, so have not been listening to the show. So I have apologies if this has already been fantasy booked by you or one of the listeners. Well, I'm sorry. Okay, well, first of all, the fact that you stopped listening to the show because you had a kid is totally inexcusable. And there's no excuse for anyone missing this show. In fact, I would argue that when anyone asks for their last rites, if you want your last rites from a priest of the Catholic Church, they should actually forego that. And what you have to do as part of your last rites is put headphones on and listen to this show. Like, so even death doesn't excuse you from not listening to the show, certainly not having a child. So that's just egregious. I mean, you talk about a lame excuse. But anyway, so Joe says, I would have Roman drop the title at the Rumble in the Fatal 4-Way due to the bloodline interference, with Rock making the save, laying out Roman, leading to Orton getting the win by pinning one of the other competitors, not Roman, setting up Orton versus Cody, and Cody wins the Chamber. Also, angry Roman sets his sights on The Rock, building a huge match at WrestleMania. Punk wins the Rumble to face Rollins. I mean, guys, I really didn't set this up. This is exactly what we just said. I couldn't agree more, Joe. Love the picture, by the way. Love it. I'm trying to get my wife to not want any more babies, so I'm going to not show her this picture. So, but congratulations to both of you, and hope you are getting your sleep. LOL. Thanks, Joe. Okay. I think we are now complete with the emails. So here we go with the voicemails in 3, 2, 1.
Hello, WWE Podcast. This is Sharon from Israel. And man, oh man, little did I know when I said that Roman and The Rock will be in Elimination Chamber, and it won't be in Elimination Chamber. And now the old Cody fans say, oh no, Cody won't be in WrestleMania, but he won't finish his story, and I will never watch WWE again if Cody won't finish his story, and AEW is the best thing ever if Cody will never finish his story. Oh no. No, I'm telling you, for me, Cody don't need to finish his story, don't need to start his story, don't need to do anything with his story. Cody is Cody. Cody, Matt, I will tell you, I think that Cody is Mr. Mustard. I'm telling you, he's not better, his gimmick, his character, than a mustard battle. That's right. And Drew McIntyre and Matt, you, both of you, you are good friends, huh? You and Drew McIntyre. Drew McIntyre is doing to you the opening of the show. You are writing to Drew McIntyre what to say, because Drew McIntyre this week said to Mr. Mustard what to say. He said that Cody smiles all the time, and he's a politician, and this is what you're saying all the time. So I suspect that you and Drew are good friends. Ours. What else? So, one last thing. It will be really interesting to see if someone you will be in the part of the bloodline. If you remember, before Solo Sikoa joined the bloodline, something similar happened to the Usos, and then Drew McIntyre punched the Usos, and then in the the event in UK, Solo came instead of the Usos. So maybe in the Royal Rumble, Roman Reigns will be alone, he won't know what to do, and then someone new will come to the bloodline, who knows, maybe the daughter of The Rock, and then will be another story. That's it. So have a good week, and we'll see you around, Matt, and we will hope that Mr. Mustard won't success in his story. Bye.
Yeah, you'd think that Drew McIntyre and I are tight or something, because he said word for word every criticism that we've said on this show for months and months about Cody, and I haven't heard anyone else say these same things. It is a bit too ironic. I'm not going to pretend that he listens to this show, but it does kind of almost sound like it, especially this week. So Drew, if you're listening, you're welcome for the material, and thank you for publicly addressing all of the criticisms to his face, Mr. Bright white smile, bleach blonde hair politician who's just there to have a great time and make us happy. It's very sickening to see Cody Rhodes do all that. But thank you, Drew. Thank you so much. And as far as a new member of the bloodline, I wouldn't be opposed to that. I just, again, if it's a bloodline, it has to be somebody who's part of the blood of Roman and Solo and Jimmy and Jay, or Jimmy at this point. And so, you could bring in The Rock's daughter. You could bring her in, but then to do what? She's, that'd be a big role to put her in so quickly, and she'd be restricted to only really wrestling women. So I wouldn't hate it. It would bring The Rock in temporarily, and that'd be fine. So outside of the purpose of The Rock being drawn into that, I'd be concerned that it would just, if you brought somebody in, then it's not the bloodline anymore. It's the bloodline plus one, because you don't have somebody that's actually a part of your bloodline, if that makes sense. Thank you, Sharon. Thank you so much. And I hope you are, I'd say enjoy the Rumble, but the Rumble is a week away. So let me know your predictions for the Rumble. I'm getting all of yours next week, I'm sure. So, all right, next voicemail from DJ. Let's do it.
Hello, WWE Podcast World. This is DJ Kuzmo back at it again on your Mailbag Show. Record to you live on a Wednesday morning on a very cold, a very snowy. This is the aftermath of the snowstorm in New York City on a Wednesday morning. And before we get to the Veer Mahan report, it was snowing like crazy the past couple of 24 hours. I think this is the first major type of snowstorm that happened in New York City, I think, for the past 2 years. But whatever the case may be, it is very icy, it is very cold. Well, let's get to your favorite show to come in every single week on the Mailbag. And I'm talking about the Veer Mahan report. Now, the Veer Mahan report took place this past Monday night live from Little Rock, Arkansas. And yes, Day 2 also had a snowstorm down in Little Rock, Arkansas. It seems like snows all over the place nowadays in the United States during this part of the year. But regardless of the fact, we did have the appearance of the Initiator as we had this main event for the World Heavyweight Championship of Mr. Seth freaking Rollins versus the modern day Maharaja, a matchup that was 12 years in the making, because the last time these guys were in such a big main event was back in NXT 12 years ago, when Seth freaking Rollins became the first ever NXT champion. Now tonight, not tonight, but on Monday night, we did have this matchup. 12 years back, 12 years in the making, in this main event, which had their typical shenanigans of Damian Priest trying to cash in, and then none other than Drew McIntyre interrupting that from happening. We did have a 13-minute solid match between the modern-day Maharaja and Seth freaking Rollins, but we also got an appearance, oh my goodness, of the return of Veer Shear back in full force, supporting the modern-day Maharaja as he goes on to almost possibly win this match, but to no avail. We did get some interactions with Veer Mahan and Seth Rollins, as Seth Rollins did some sort of splash on top of none other than Veer Mahan outside the ring. We did see a steel chair that was being used by Sangha to kind of interfere, but then the ref called that out, and then all of a sudden, Veer Mahan had the briefcase. I don't know where that briefcase was floating around, but he had the briefcase, trying to hit none other than Seth Rollins, and oh my goodness, none other than the modern day Maharaja hit him with the Colossal, but still Seth Rollins kicked out, and not to no avail. The match continued, and then all of a sudden, it seems like Seth Rollins was back in motion as 1, 2, 3, and still the World Heavyweight Champion, Seth freaking Rollins. It was a great match overall. I know I'm going beyond my 3 minutes, but other than that, the Indian Shear are back. Hopefully, we'll get to see more of this continuation of the group and whatever the direction is after the Royal Rumble. With that being said, this is your guy, DJ Kuzmo. Have a blessed week. Be kind to one another. See you soon, my friends, and peace.
Yeah, I mean, that's what really you need to take from it, DJ. I mean, you know, is that the fact that they were at least in the main event. They went from just a non-factor. They weren't even on the show for how many months? And now they were at least put in the spotlight of the main event in a world title match against Seth Rollins. That's all you can really ask for. I mean, I don't think anyone really believed Jinder was going to win. I thought there was a very outside chance he could. But of course, it's this close to WrestleMania. You're not going to dethrone Seth Rollins right now. It doesn't make a whole lot of sense. But Jinder, I think, held up his side very well. And all the interaction and exposure Jinder's been getting the last few weeks with The Rock and this championship match, Jinder Mahal has been on a roll, even though he's been getting his backside kicked. It doesn't really matter because it's really for him. You need to look at it through the lens of getting exposure, getting eyeballs on you, getting recognition, and that is what they got. And for Sangha and Veer Mahan, just getting damn TV time. That's all you can ask for. But like you said, now it's what's the follow-up? How do they continue? And that's what you need to look for. So thank you, DJ, and let's get to our next one.
Hey, it's Kyle from Baltimore. So I wanted to talk about the four-way that's happening at Royal Rumble. And, I truly think that, WWE was smart. They would have Reigns lose the championship. But of course, I don't think that's going to happen. Because it's kind of like a weird thing because, what are you going to do with Cody Rhodes? Because whether, I don't care for Cody at all, but the fact is the guy's portrayed and being seen like John Cena. Now, some people don't agree with that. Don't agree with me with that. What I want to mention to some people, but just the vibe and the feeling that he's the way he's been presented on television, the way he's presented by the company, and how the fans have treated him. Somewhat, not really, because Cena did get a lot of boos when he was champ and all that stuff, and Cody is getting cheered by the fans, so it is slightly different. But the way that the company has made him on television, has framed him as television, is how they framed John Cena when he was around. He was all over the posters, all over the cover for Raw. He's on Raw every single week, champion almost every single time. The Rhodes again has it, but still, again, the way he's been presented on television is that way. So I don't know. I think maybe it's smart because if he doesn't win the championship at WrestleMania or whenever sometime this year, then what's the point? This whole story, I'm doing air quotes with the story thing, is really stupid, but I just say just pull the trigger, put the title on the guy, start a feud, start building towards Cody Rhodes and Randy Orton headed to the summer, as far as I'm concerned. And let's get some new stories for the championship on SmackDown because it's well deserved. So that's my 2 cents on what needs to happen for WrestleMania, see how long they're going to drag this Roman Reigns thing out for. Hopefully it will land at WrestleMania this time. But we'll see. But I just wanted to bring that up, but that's just it. They shall call. Bye.
Yeah, Kyle, so that's true. I mean, they've been dragging this out a while. We're all tired of hearing about the bedtime story. Honestly, I don't even want to pick up his book and read his damn story. I want to throw it out the window. I mean, I'm tired of hearing about it. And so it's a tired trope to me at this point, but I'm ready to, just rip the Band-Aid off, get the belt off of Roman and put it on Cody so we can all move the hell on. It's very frustrating as a fan, even though I'm not a big fan of Cody, you're not a big fan of Cody. We all are ready for Roman to just not be champion. Even if we dislike Cody, it's the lesser of two evils at this point. But it just remains to be seen then how long is Cody champion, because that's going to wear itself out too, I think. And Triple H seems to be a big fan of very long title reigns. And under the Vince McMahon regime, he kind of had the opposite philosophy, where a lot of times, especially towards the end of his run, it was a very hot potato type of thing. But Triple H, I think, at sometimes has gone to the too extreme, where you have champions that are just, I think, overstay their welcome as champion, and you're just like, okay, we get it. I know what you're trying to do, but this is just to me at this point, it's a law of diminishing returns. I'm ready though for Cody to just take the belt. Can we just get to it and move on? I agree. But it also comes down to, do they care about Hogan's record that much to be able to beat it? They're never going to be able to get to this point again in a lot of their lifetimes. I mean, name another time in which we're going to go 4 years with someone as champion to be able to beat Hulk Hogan's record. Name it. I mean, there's nobody else on the roster. So I think that's probably a more likely scenario too, is that, or not a likely, a scenario is that they just forego everything and say, screw it. We're never going to get this chance again to take out Hulk Hogan and knock him down a peg to put Roman Reigns in Hulk Hogan's spot. Then right now, in our lifetimes, it will never happen again. We got to do it now. So, excuse me. I think that is also a strong possibility, as much as people don't want to hear it. But I hear you, Kyle. I'm with you. So, and I think a lot of other listeners echo our sentiments here. So, okay. One more voicemail. Light on the voicemails today, but let's get to it. Wait a minute. I think it's Alex, the French guy. Let's get to him.
Alex, the French guy. Your current European champion. I don't know if this message will go through, because I sent it from Wednesday. Here in France, it's actually 1 in the afternoon, 1 p.m. So, whatever. We'll see if it comes up on the show. Past Raw and SmackDown, really average, if I can say the least. I don't know. I think that most of the show until the Royal Rumble will be average at best. The proof of that is that on Raw, Drew McIntyre and CM Punk and everything, they have common promo whenever. However, they won't have a feud until, I don't know, past WrestleMania or something. But yeah, very average. And I thought of you, Matt, during the Drew McIntyre against Cody Rhodes promo. So I figured, I said to myself, yeah, now Drew McIntyre is definitely the favorite of Matt on the WWE podcast. When Drew McIntyre say that Cody Rhodes doesn't need to use complicated words, that he doesn't need to suit up and everything, and I think the most incredible thing for you, Matt, is when Drew McIntyre begins the promo by saying, "What do you want to talk about?" Making fun of this common catchphrase of Cody Rhodes. So yeah, that's all for me for this week. Bye, guys.
Yeah, Alex. I mean, the more I hear his promo, because I listen to it again, I'm just like, man, it almost is like he's listening to the show. I mean, because there's nobody else saying these things over and over of the complaints about Cody. And so, I mean, it's very possible he listens, right? I mean, he knows we exist because I, cameoed him a year or two ago. That's why he's a part of the show at the beginning of the audio here. And so he knows we exist. So it's very possible that he does listen. And again, if he does, awesome. I mean, I can give you more material on Cody. Drew, if you're out there, man, just hit me up. Hit me up. I will help you out with some criticisms on Cody. I think myself and some other of the co-hosts can help you out in that department. There's no doubt about it. So, oh God, yeah, that made me smile so much. And Cody didn't have a whole lot to say about any of that. Right, Mr. Suit-wearing politician. Like, he is so obnoxious. He's so obnoxious, and he doesn't even know he's so obnoxious. And he just seems so phony. God. But anyway, at the same time, I think he's a hell of a talent. I think he's very, very good in the ring. His promos generally are delivered very well. So all these criticisms that I have about Cody is simply about is just his babyface character. It's just horrifically transparent, too feel good, warm, just bleh. I don't know. It's just nonsense. But let's be honest. I mean, they are trying to make him the face of the company. He is likely going to be the face of the company and physically when they put him on the 2K24 video game that's going to be revealed on Monday. There's going to be more information revealed on Monday officially, and I believe he'll be the cover star. That hasn't been confirmed, but my guess is Cody Rhodes is the face of 2K24. So they are literally trying to make him the face of the company. But all right, thank you, Alex. Thank you, everybody. It's been a blast. We're at that hour now, so I will be back on Sunday with your weekend review, hopefully with a much more normal week as I climb out of this hole that I've been in for the last 7 days. So I will be back ready to go, and we'll be publishing shows along the way with your After Dark show, which you guys can check out only on Patreon at the NXT Plus and above, and on Apple Podcasts. If you're a paid subscriber, you can check out the After Dark show, which is going to be published either later today or early tomorrow morning. It's exclusive to only patrons and subscribers, so that'll be there. And also WWEpodcast.com if you want to subscribe there. We do still have a website. We have a merch store. And that's pretty much it. So thank you, everybody, for listening. As always, I'll talk to you next time.
Thanks for listening to the WWE Podcast. Don't forget to subscribe on your favorite podcast app so you don't miss a show, or head to WWEpodcast.com. And for all of these shows ad-free, head over to patreon.com/WWE Podcast. Until then, we'll see you next time.